We is live, but I don't hear any intro music, Mikey. You got the intro?
You don't hear it?
I do not. Now I
What
do.
the heck? You hear it
Okay,
now?
let's wing it. Let's wing it. Turn it up.
Go ahead. There you go.
I'm Joe Garcia, and he's Mike Toledo here on the Dent Time PDR College podcast with guest Keith Cosentino and Shane Jacks.
Wow, what's going on? It didn't go as smooth as we wanted to, man. But you know what?
Look,
We tried.
I am okay
Damn
with
it.
this because, Joe, you put more emphasis and excitement in my name than you did Keith's. It was fantastic. I love it. I never get that.
All right, Keith.
I always
And
get, it's Keith Cosentino and Shane Jacks.
I use it all up front.
Yeah.
No, what you guys don't know is that is actually very, very accurate representation of how our intros go 98% of the time. Do you hear it? I don't know. We'll just keep on going.
Oh, man.
Thank you guys for having us on. This is exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
We love you guys, man.
Okay, the
Yeah,
feeling's really
and
cool.
right off the bat, man, Joe and I wanted to bring you guys on because we owe some, some gratitude to you guys who helped start this podcast venture with everybody, who's actually, paved the road. And I could not be more proud of you guys to actually be the first ones to be out there publicly, consistently in the beginning to help change the industry and for the better. I think we all owe you a great gratitude that way. I know Joe does. Joe always references you guys, old podcasts, and you listeners, people, you new people, you haven't listened to PDR College, you want to get, your business mind straight, you should retrack on that and listen to those podcasts, man. So we wanted to say, and Joe, you can probably say, but thank you very much, Shane. Thank you very much, Keith.
Yes,
you guys have done an excellent job, and we do miss your podcast. So if you, if you guys can bring it back here and there, I know a little bit more often. I know, like Keith, we're talking off saying, but things get a little more busier and stuff like that. But Joe, I want to let Joe say something too. So
oh yeah,
ahead,
absolutely. Joe. No, you guys, man, you brought it, man, and you taught a man how to fish here, and I'm not even a religious guy, but you guys with your podcast, I mean, I've been able to better serve, like I told this to Paul Corden too, it's like and I was introduced to Paul Corden, by the way, by you guys.
Cool.
I'm able to feed my family and serve my people, my humans very, very well because of what you guys have taught. And I know I'm not the only one. I speak for a lot of other people.
We appreciate it. Mike, you said a debt of gratitude. Checks can be made payable too.
Hey,
or any listeners out there, hey, it's Christmas time, my kids got to eat. Can I just go on like a spiel here about being poor and stuff?
Go for it. We're all PDR techs, man. We are all PDR techs.
I'm just kidding. Well, we appreciate you guys having us on, and thank you for the kudos. It does seem like there are about 150 podcasts out right now, and it was Mike, as you know, kind of yourself and another, and me and Keith that kind of got this whole thing kicked off. Not saying we're anything special, but it is kind of humbling to see so many other platforms pop up after we did. Humbling and a little bit frustrating at times, depending on the presenters. So,
well, I think generally, everybody wants to, contribute to this industry, and I think everyone has their own take, right? Like I said, nobody wants to be like you guys set the bar, right? And there's just people just want different, right? They want different takes and different personalities. I got that for one thing. When I was doing podcasts, I was in that mindset, man. I had to stay super professional. I didn't want to copy you guys' format. I wanted to do my own. I actually did a podcast like here and there before podcast, but nobody, the timing wasn't right because nobody had that technology to want to listen to a podcast, at least the PDR industry. But meaning wise, I mean, I was always that techie person, right? I just like to play. It gave me an excuse to play with more things, but to kind of express my feelings. And I think that's the way it is. Me and Joe call it therapeutic, man. Wouldn't you guys agree? It's therapeutic.
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, thank you guys for those compliments. I feel like half the time they're not deserved, but we're grateful that we are a part of so many people's stories, and that, people were able to find content on our site, either it's from us or from people we brought on that just flat out put more money in their pockets. So I thought I still think it's the coolest thing ever. Paul was a big part of my story too. Just everybody coming on and bringing their takes and helping us expand our minds a little bit in our tiny little weird industry. But to your point, Mike, Shane and I have said all the time, if we did these shows and never even sent them out, we're better off for them, because we got to talk through all of our stuff. Like, why are we pricing our stuff this way? What do we do when we hire somebody? I think the most famous example, at least between Shane and I, was when we sat down and did a what to do and what not to do if it hails in your town. We spent like 2.5 hours doing this show. And then bam, a week later it hails like a couple hours from my house, and we went and worked together. So it's like, when do you get the opportunity to make a business plan and then execute it in real life? It was just awesome. And then we shared the stories from that. It's just a really cool opportunity to make ourselves better and then get it out there, and hopefully we help somebody else in the meantime.
Yeah. I mean, it's therapeutic for everybody, right? I mean, because people are kind of like, man, what do I do when that hails, or how do I price, or what is, or let's put it this way. These podcasts, your podcast, others alike, there's some accountability to this stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When you guys are talking about things, it makes the person conscious about, man, I really do deserve more. All right. Why I didn't mean to lowball the industry or myself, and it kind of just brings justice to the person, to themselves. And I think that's what these great podcasts do. So
there's accountability with Keith and myself also, and anybody else that does a podcast. Andy Patrick left a comment a few minutes ago that he thought I was talking about him. I'm not talking about you. There he goes. It popped up again. When I say his name, does it? Oh, okay.
I got you.
You're the tech nerd, man. I wish I had half of your skills on that side of things. My videos look like, compared to Mike's anyway, look like, whatever.
Hey,
come on, man.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't want to do it, man. Like, it is hard work. I go, the more cool I think it's going to be, I'm like, wait a second, dog. Hold on a second. Like, you're going to put way more work on yourself, dude. You know what I mean? At the
editing
end of the day,
video. Oh,
look at me shaking my headphones off, dude. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Shane, but go ahead. It's already mean to break your thought, dude. So.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say this, and you're probably thinking in your mind, Mike, that you're like, well, you're an idiot because you don't know how to do it. It would take me 27 minutes to edit one of your 5-minute videos. I'm like 3 hours deep into this son of a gun. It looks like dog mess. You know what I mean? It's extremely frustrating, but there's a level of accountability with Keith and I when we do these things, and anybody else that does a podcast, because you've got to practice what you preach at that point, and I'm going to put a disclaimer on this. That's why I'm always combating Keith on like pricing and everything else. So I set the bar a little bit lower. It's Keith is getting $700 for a quarter-size dent, and I'm like, hold on, cowboy, that's worth $12. So I can practice what I preach anywhere between 12 and 700 at that point. So that's mainly why I do it, Keith.
Right. Just give yourself a free pass.
Give myself a free pass. For sure.
That's what's great about the podcast. So, like, for years, a lot of us have been listening to your guys' conversations, Keith and Shane, and I've always heard you, Shane, say iron sharpens iron, and you do. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but like when you're having your conversations, you're getting deep into the conversation, it's keeping us sharp too. And there's a lot to that. And Mike and I have talked about it many times, where we were having these conversations as well before recording it. And and Mike was always like, well, we should record this, you know, and like, okay, but you know, I mean, but it really is true. Iron sharpens iron. It's we learn and stay accountable.
Yeah.
That's actually a tactic of ours, Joe. We'll start to have a conversation and I'm like, time out. We're having it on the show instead, because it's never as good the second time around. And it's more genuine and more honest when we're actually debating it and figuring it out for everybody to see.
I'm never, ever the one to say, time out, let's put it on the show. I'm rolling. I think if anybody knows, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I do like debate a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And that was sarcasm on my part. If Joe, when you were talking about iron sharpens iron, a term that I hope I coined this anyway. You don't know what you know until you know what you know, and the only way to know it is to have somebody combat it. And I absolutely love it. People think I just like to. People think I'm upset.
Hear yourself talk.
Well, I do like to hear. Actually, I hate hearing myself talk over, but like right now, I'm enjoying it. Listening to it on a recording. I never, ever listen to our podcast again. Keith listens to them like 6 times each. He really likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah, Shane's talking about iron sharpens iron. He's in the corner with 2 swords going ching, 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 just debating himself. This is how it works, right?
I do that constantly with myself. I really do. I love vetting my thoughts and beliefs. And the only way to do that, it's hard to do it with yourself. It's you can do it with other people.
Danny just gave me credit for teaching him how to talk to customers. This dude, he is not needing any help talking to customers. Danny can talk to anybody.
You know what I mean, man? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Hey, dude, that was good. That says
a lot right there.
Mike, that was a legit. Impersonation.
You got to give them what you want, you know. You got to give them. You got to give it to them. You got to get in their mind, you know. Danny, you know what I'm talking about, Danny.
Oh, my favorite Danny quote was that we're in the Mobile Tech Expo like 4 or 5 years ago, and there's some new tool out. There's a new tool every year, and he's like, "Yo, I see a new tool. Boom, I get it. I don't care. I get it every time." I'm like, that's a good. That's badass, man. Because if there's something new, he's got it. He's using it. He's like, I don't even need to see it. I'm buying it.
Yep, that's Danny.
Where I'm like, I don't know, man. Like 5 years later, I'm like, all right, this glue thing is starting to catch on. I think I got to give it a shot.
Oh man.
So the podcast is, and you guys really touch base on this a lot. Joe and I tried to touch base on this, and we send each other little sayings to keep us in check, accountable every day about our actions. I post my pricing, general pricing about what a dent cost on my before and afters and whatnot. I made a commitment in 2021. I said, I'm going to post my pricing on there because I want to go after a certain type of customer. I want people to understand my brand. And what it comes down to, Joe and I were talking about mindset, and we know that we are always our worst enemies.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's price, Shane, doesn't matter if you're doing these smash dents, what we're going to show in a little bit. Doesn't matter, right? If you think you can, if you think you can't, you're right. I mean, how did you guys, Keith, I know you've been breaking that barrier. It's not just something that you go, all right, I'm going to have higher pricing from now on. It doesn't go that way. It doesn't work like that. How did you condition yourself or get yourself in shape for that mindset?
I'll tell you what, Mike, the term in shape is actually the proper way to describe it, because it is just like your fitness. And I know all 4 of us have been at various levels in our fitness journeys, either hard on or off or somewhere in the middle, kind of throughout your life. It's like a season or a cycle. And when you are in the trenches with work every day, and you talk about raising your prices, you can't just go from whatever you were at to wherever you want to be. I mean, maybe somebody can, but it's really hard to believe it. It's like going into the gym and trying to squat 500 pounds. You try it all you want, and maybe somebody will get lucky and do it, but chances are you can't. You got to get in there and work and slowly work your way up to the point that you think that's probably possible, that you get under that bar and do it. And the pricing is the same way. And you can lose it. I'm here to tell you, you can lose it too, because I've been out of the field for, I don't know, a year and a half or something like that. And I'm starting to get a little soft and worried, like that price is a little high. I don't know, because I'm not in there every day talking with customers and putting those estimates out and reading the reactions and coming up with ways to sell it and feeling confident. So I've atrophied that muscle by not being in the field and keeping on working on it. I'm out of shape in pricing. We were actually just talking, not to monopolize this part of the conversation, but we were just talking about raising our wholesale prices at our company. And my retail prices have been great, but the wholesale prices have sucked. Even though we mark up big stuff, we're still stuck in this, one car price based on the market. So, we're talking about raising it. And there's like real mental resistance at different levels of everybody in the company, like what the managers will accept and what they want. And this is a number that hasn't changed for like 20 years. So it's like and because that one you don't flex very often, right? You just do a deal with your dealers and then, I'll mark up the big stuff. I'll mark up a hail car or whatever, but the regular cars, you're not in there negotiating every time. So you just that muscle just shrinks. So going and sitting down at the desk with a manager or dealership owner and having a long-term price conversation, that muscle hasn't been flexed. So everybody's like, oh man, I don't know what they're going to say, blah, blah, blah. But it's all here, Mike, like you said earlier, we're all our own worst enemies. I know, just like you guys do, there's guys with wholesale per car prices that are 2, 3, 4, 5 times what other guys are, and they're getting them all day long. It's not a problem, but you get out of that zone and then it feels hard again.
Well, let me ask you a question, Keith. I mean, because you're getting your thought process, right? Or anybody's thought process. What happens when you say you need to raise your prices? What's your thought, right? What is your first thought? Is it positive?
Well, who's saying negative? Who's questioning it? Myself or someone else?
I know. I'm just saying, if anybody, like somebody says, we're all saying we need to raise our prices. Let's just say, hey, Keith, you should raise your prices at your wholesale lot. Your thought process is, all right, I'm going to go approach the manager. I'm going to tell him I'm going to raise my prices, but he's going to say, hell no, you're fired. I'm going to get someone else. Do you see what I'm saying? We think that process before we think about how we can resolve and get that price. You know what I mean? We always think the negative first before we think positive. It's always that way.
I think it's that way with everything. Like you guys invite me bungee jumping. The first thing I'm thinking of is when that thing breaks. I don't want to be on that ride. Yeah. But I think it's healthy when in a pricing conversation to think about what the objections are going to be and how you're going to handle it and it's healthy to think about that and think, if I was asking myself this question, what would my answers be and how can I justify it? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? So that's actually, I think that thought process is valuable if you sit with it and work through it. But
yeah, Danny brought something up, dude. I've been seeing the inflation really starting to come on right now, you guys. I mean, personally, that's just me. I feel like that's just my take. What you guys' take about this inflation going on right now?
Dude? Go try to buy a freaking car of any kind. Yeah. But other than that, yeah.
You feel like it's going to affect us in 2022? You've been keeping an eye on the market at all, Keith or Shane? Joe?
I have a theory on it, actually. I don't know if I'm correct, but I feel like consumers will educate themselves a little bit more when they're getting ready to make a purchase. And that includes for PDR. And that's precisely the kind of consumer that I want to get in front of, is somebody who has educated themselves and hopefully seen my videos, locally here, and that they want a high value of level of value. And to them, that what that means is great quality across the board, whether it's the craftsmanship or the service, just the experience. I feel like that's me being hopeful, of course, is wishful thinking. But I hope that with inflation, the consumers will spend their money a little wiser rather than just go into the low end. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. The inflation bit, it kind of feels like a run on Dogecoin or something. Is it real inflation, or is just all these businesses, ourselves included, saying, well, inflation, so we should raise our prices? It's just a convenient opportunity to throw in a price raise when everyone else is doing it, so you can go with the herd. That's kind of how I feel about it. There's real things that have real price raises because of the industry, because of shipping issues. Like cars have a real price raise because there's way more demand than there's supply. But I think a lot of the prices that are getting raised on us by, whatever fill in the blank company, ours included. I mean, our prices haven't changed that much. right? Our expenses are so low compared to a real business like a restaurant or a gas station that has to resupply with things, that our expenses haven't changed. Maybe you have a couple hundred more bucks on your insurance policy and your gas is a little more expensive, but it's not changing the world. So I find it a little bit disingenuous to blame it on inflation, but it's convenient. You can slide it in there. I don't know. I'm willing to debate that. I could be convinced otherwise.
What is the definition of inflation?
Well, I can.
If the prices are going up, there's inflation. It doesn't matter what the reasoning is.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Whether it's me and you charging more and the gas company and the milk people and the beef people, it's still inflation. Still prices going up.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong about that. I guess I look at it as like true inflation is a necessary price raise because the model doesn't work anymore, but it's not always the case. There's probably a couple of those things that drive the industry and everyone else just follows along, inflation and whatnot.
Yeah.
Prices are up.
Yeah.
How everything's scarce now, all of a sudden, starting with toilet paper and then everything else is scarce now.
Right. Shane, why are you raising the prices of Dent Pro Upstate? Well, those shipping containers are really stuck in China. It's hard to get them in. The ports are locked up. It's tough out there, man. What do you?
The answer is I like beef, so I need more money to buy more beef.
So Keith and Shane, what is crack-a-lacking with you guys, man? Like, so is there anything that you guys see in this industry that it raises your eyebrow that that anybody should pay attention to, that it needs to be aware of?
I got one things right on top of mind right now, Mike, and that is MSO body shops. It has changed our body shop business completely. Like in our area, Caliber bought basically everything that paints cars. Every freaking shop is Caliber. Now it's an exaggeration, but they literally probably bought 50 body shops in the last couple of years within driving distance,
stuff like that.
It's all Caliber up here. I mean, I think there's a Fix Auto and there's a couple little, other MSOs that are big in the rest of the country that are just not big in my area, but Caliber is strong in mine, and they suck for PDR. At least here, maybe somewhere where it hails, it's different, but we used to do so much in our body shops based on our relationships with the owners and managers in these independent shops. They like you, they like the work, and then they upsell, or, they convert insurance jobs to yours. But these Calibers are incentivized to paint everything, paint the planet. So the only time they're using us is when they make a mistake.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they have this bull crap about paying in 90 days at the soonest possible time is 90 days. And then they stretch you out sometimes, so I have stuff that's unpaid for 2 years because they just pass the buck around. So Caliber is a disaster for us because I've lost my ability to make the relationship with people who ask for the work and people who pay for the work. If I had a late body shop before, I just go in and talk to the owner. Oh, sorry, Keith, here's a check. Done deal. I walk out, we're paid. These guys, I'm writing emails to the mothership. There's people that don't know who I am. It's a terrible business. So I'm considering like just firing all of them. It's so bad for me. And I don't know if I'm alone in that or if it's just my area or what, but that's totally changed. I used to describe body shops as a third of our business, including like the retail referrals that they give us. I think I could cut them out completely now and I'd be happier because of it. What are you seeing, Shane?
Same thing. We don't have the takeover by the Calibers. They are, Caliber is the only big MSO that's in this area. We don't have the Abras or the Car Stars or whatever, but we only do work for one of them. There's like 4 in the upstate. They pay us with a credit card right away.
That's the only way.
Exception.
Yeah, so we're getting kind of technical. I know it's a mindset show, but that's the only way, guys, that a Caliber store can pay by themselves is with their card. That's like almost like a petty cash card. They have, a few grand a month they can spend on whatever they need to spend it on. Do everything you can to walk out of that place with a payment on a card. Do not let them submit it to the mothership unless you hate money.
Yeah. The manager there, we have a really good, she come from another body shop, an independent shop that we did. And she's really good with us. I think she knows that we won't get paid for 120 days or whatever. So she just, even if it's a hell card, here's the card.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I mean, it costs them, costs money, but
do you upcharge them for the credit card fee?
No, I don't. No, should,
yeah.
but
yeah.
So what I'm seeing is something that can affect the industry greatly, especially with the high pricing. And I would say that with Mr. Corden and others that are following Mr. Corden, with these super high prices, and I'm saying that, I'm not saying they're super high, but with these prices going up legitimately, and we're charging $1,500, $2,000 for a 10-inch, 12-inch dent, whatever, and then people are deciding, instead of paying out of pocket, they're they're making a claim with their insurance companies. Something that is changing. Originally, I looked at it as mainly being for the health side of things, but it's also happening on this side of things that can help us greatly, but you really need to know how to work the system. Is the adjusters aren't coming out anymore. It's just not happening anywhere. Now, whether that changes when COVID decides it wants to go away or whatever is going on in that world, I don't think it's going to change. I believe even if COVID were to stop tomorrow, I think the insurance companies realize, and
they're saving money.
Stupid. Yeah. They've known all along that they're wasting a whole lot of money with adjusters going out, but they had built a system and built all these people into the system, and they couldn't just fire them all immediately. Well, I think this was a really good excuse for them to stop doing that bull crap.
Yeah, I think it's a good excuse for everybody. Everybody's been learning.
Yeah.
You look at all the big corporations. There's a Qualcomm where they build all the chips for the phones, and they have 10,000 people, and now they only have 2,000 people at a time coming in. The rest are working remote from home.
Working remote from home. Commercial real estate. What's going to happen there with all these buildings? Is it going to drop? I don't know. But as far as the insurance side of things are going, the adjusters aren't coming out. So you need to learn even better how to do these video calls, and be more effective on these video calls when you're doing a hail claim or a dent claim. Paul speaks about it in his group quite often and quite well. He puts the ruler on there, learn how to use the system. Don't just send in this grainy picture of this 12-inch dent that has no perspective and no background to what it is, and you just tell them, hey, it's a 12-inch dent. No, you need to have justification. I can't remember what his saying is. Anyway, justification of salvation or something. So I think that's going to change. It's already changed, and I think it's going to stay. I think it's here to stay.
A lot of these hail guys have been used to arguing about size in the videos they send for years. So they're super good at it. I mean, they're out of town and they're on their grind. What can I say, man?
Oh man,
they got tricks for where you hold the camera and everything.
I forgot to show you guys this real quick, dude. This is
all about perspective.
That's right, Joe. You talk to some of these guys.
Fish out ends.
Don't ask me how I know.
Do you guys want to see the biggest glue pole you've ever seen, dude? This might be a new business for everybody, dude.
That is fantastic.
Nobody's working on those crowns, dude.
Oh man,
jump hit.
Imagine actually pulling this out.
14-foot blending hammer.
Dude, our planet would be so much better if it was run by farmers. They know how to get so much stuff done.
They do.
The ingenuity of making it happen when you have to.
Shane, I got something I want to show. Well, actually, I want to show everybody. I'm going to switch it up to here. We're going to walk you through your video here because again, this podcast is about mindset, about that you guys help setting that trend. Keith, if you have anything to add to that, Joe or whatever, I mean, I know everything has to do with mindset. No matter what we do, from pulling out of pricing to greeting the customer, you're looking at a dent going, yeah, I can fix that, or no, I don't want to fix that, or no, I can't fix that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff here. Let me pull up this thing while you guys keep talking.
Both, Mike.
Yes,
I can fix that. No, I don't want to.
Exactly. Dude.
All about the incentive, right?
Let me stop sharing with this one here. You guys keep going. I'm going to pull this up here. So Keith, take it away.
We're going to see a video here of something that Shane did. And I don't know which one it is, but before a real hard dent, he calls me and tries to, walk me through it so I can psych him up, give him some tips, what to do, what not to do. And this is probably one of those.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Oh man, we get to listen to me speak too.
Do you want me to play the audio or not? Just walk it through.
Heck no, just walk it through. I hate listening.
It looks like he's about to introduce the new iPhone.
Okay, man. This is I probably wouldn't want to do this, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't want to, for sure. There's a good story behind this, though. That's why I sent this one to you, for sure.
All right, go ahead. Another one.
You can clearly see on both of these, there is a lot of paint damage on this thing. On the fender,
stop anytime. If you want me to pause, just let me know. Okay.
Yeah, pause it right there.
Okay.
So you can see your little white chips there. The gentleman comes in. This is a good mindset thing, because in the beginning I had the wrong mindset with this guy, and he had to talk me into it. He comes in, a body shop had referred him to us, and his buddy, actually one of his close friends, actually runs the body shop. And so he brings this thing to me, and I'm like, there is so much paint damage here. And on that lower crown that you see right there with the white chips, there were some spider cracks that went all the way around that crown. This is going to get worse, man. And I'm trying to talk him out of this the entire time, mainly because I saw my forearms on fire on this aluminum. And this gentleman was like, I do not want to paint this hood. It's tri-stage. He called it triple coat or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to paint this hood. And I'm like, it needs a new hood. I'm doing everything I can to try to talk him out of it, when realistically I got more than replacement costs to repair this hood and even not even touch it up. And then you've got the fender here. There's a ton of that. You see the crack running across the light right there.
Shane, was that an insurance claim?
Jeez.
No.
Okay.
He paid cash, or he paid by check or credit card, one of the two. And I had the wrong mindset. I didn't want to do it, so I guess you can't see it's a wrong mindset. But he really had to.
That really shows it right there.
Yeah, that shows where the paint damage is, and getting worse by the minute, by the way. And the entire time I'm sitting there, this is another mindset thing. The entire time I'm sitting there going, this guy's not going to be happy. There's no way I'd be happy with this, because the paint is doing exactly what I told him it would do. It's letting go even more because the panel's flexing. And I'm like, he is going to hate this. But he's paying me because we went through this for a long time. He picks the thing up, and he's absolutely ecstatic. And I came into it thinking the wrong thing. I don't know why he didn't want to paint it, but
triple coat, dude.
Triple coat, yeah. But the thing is you don't know. You've got to get into the mind of the customer to find out what they want.
Joe and I do talk about that all the time, dude.
It's not static. It's what we think is what we tend to put on others. And something Keith says quite a bit is, I think it's you, Keith. Maybe it's some other guy that I know. I'm just showing that I didn't drill any holes here, that I completely distorted that one, but I didn't drill any. So customers don't know what they want. You have to tell them what they want. I've heard that quite a bit from, is it you, Keith? Are you the one that says that?
Yeah, I've talked about it. They don't know how to shop, so they just shop on price. So it's your job to tell them how to shop.
Yeah.
And what they're buying and why they want something over something else.
Yeah, but in this case, it's not that. It's not price. That price wasn't an issue. I was like, this guy doesn't know what he wants, because he doesn't know how bad this thing's going to look when I'm done with it. And in the end, it turned out great, and he was happy. So
it did come out beautiful, man. I saw that after there, and I mean, isn't that, Shane, the definition of perceived value right there? I mean, every consumer is going to see it differently, and in his case, he was maybe you overeducated him with your videos and stuff, about
that's not done right there, right? You're still working.
No, that's mid process.
Yeah,
about mid, close, probably about 3/4 of the way through right there.
Yeah.
That big wave over there was probably the wave to the right. That's probably one of the hardest parts of that dent. It just didn't want to go down because of the pressure that was still in the panel right there. So he
Shane,
was
I'm right there
ecstatic.
with you. I'm right there with you. I say, me and Joe say the same things. Like we give a people a price on something. In our head, we're like, man, he's not going to want to paint this, man. Like he's not going to want to do pay for this. And what right do we have to already make a call for the customer, right? They don't, you don't know their situation. You don't know if their kid hit this car twice. They don't want to make a friggin' claim. They just don't want it on the record. They just want it better. Or maybe they're selling it. Maybe it's a rental car. You don't know. Right. And that's how I think we talk ourselves out of jobs on a daily, Now this probably I would have just said, nah, I ain't doing that, man. So, and like Ray says, he says, what do you say? Can I fix it? Yes. Do I want to? No. So
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Some of these repairs that I see, I'm going to exclude Bryce Kelly out of this conversation, and Guidez, is that how you say his name?
Geddes Arlson.
Arlson, yeah. I'm going to exclude them from this conversation, from this excuse that I'm about to make. A lot of this stuff that I see a lot of techs doing, I know that I could do it with enough time. I'm over that crap. You know what I mean? And this hood and fender was kind of in that situation. But I made two friends, he and his wife. Here I'm explaining cutting and buffing because there was a whole lot that went on that hood. These people, they kind of invited me on a cruise, me and my wife, to go on a cruise with them. Now, maybe they're swingers. I don't know. Hope not. But anyway, they were talking about cruises and everything, and the cruise line that they use. And it was an awesome conversation. And he's called me since then just to have a conversation, and maybe that was part of the reason he was happy with it in the end, is because I sat there for like 30 or 45 minutes with each of them. He was late bringing the truck to drop it off. She was sitting there waiting. We started on the whole vacation thing, got on the cruises. We had went to the same resort in Cancun, and then that started the conversation about the cruise line.
Were they rocking any of those upside down pineapples anywhere on the truck? That's supposed to be the symbol for a swinger.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, dude.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes open for that.
Upside down pineapple.
Upside down pineapple. You get invited over for sandwiches or something, and there's upside down pineapple. You got to be ready to party.
Oh boy,
stupid. Hey, Shane, I want to touch back base on something that you mentioned here. Listen, I just did a train wreck the other day. So I was texting Joe, and you touched me. He's like, "Hey, can I get it better?" Yes. It's just going to take a lot of time. Do you want to do that? Right? I mean, how much time do you want to invest in it? And I think it's great, Shane, that you actually posted it, because I just feel like there's so many people so afraid to show realistic, consistent repairs. You know what I mean? Like Shane and I know it, you glass dents on a consistent basis. But when we're doing heavy dents, semi. Same here. Like I'm semi. So, but I'm just saying, we in mindset. Here we go, Keith. What's our mindset when we want to post a repair doesn't look that great, but we put a lot of time in it, and the customer's ecstatic about the results, right? But we're worried about what our peers think, right?
It's a valid concern. You kind of have to wonder who your audience is and what's the purpose of the post, right? If your audience is other dent guys, forget about it. I mean, I'll be honest, when Shane showed me that, I'm like, I mean, is that the best you could get out the edge of that fender? Right? It wasn't all the way up, but I know that repair was an SOB, and that Shane did exactly what he was promised the customer, and that was the end of that. And that's a super hard part to get to. And I know Shane probably thought twice. We haven't talked about this, but I'm sure he thought twice about, am I posting the whole thing? Because you're putting your work on showcase display. If you're trying to impress other dent guys, you can do that. But there's a lot I can say about this, because on the one hand, it's beneficial. It gets people inspired. Like I've heard younger guys say, like, man, I'm not going to get off this because I see what you guys can do, and I see it, it's amazing. But all four of us know that every tech that posts nothing but perfect work, it's just like an Instagram life. They're not posting the real life. They're posting the greatest hits, and that's cool. Right. but it isn't what's happening every day at the business. You can't make everything perfect. And if you only take stuff you're going to make perfect, you're going to turn down a lot of customers that you could have made really happy because you explained to them, listen, I can't make this perfect. There's going to be a little bit at the edge of this panel, but blah, blah, blah. And they go, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Fantastic. So that's part of this business. So if you're trying to post, like Joe, you were talking about posting realistic stuff for your customers, I think it's beneficial to put stuff that's less than perfect up there because number one, they probably don't even see what we see. And number two, you can point them to it and say, hey, you know how you really thought that was great? Let me show you this little thing right here. This is what I see. And then they're like, oh man, this is fantastic. Right. What's just okay for you is perfect for me. So you're my guy. I love it. I've had that conversation 1,000 times and it's a real honest conversation. But I think a lot of guys that are posting are just a little bit confused as to why they're doing it and who their audience is. Because the reason we all know about this stuff is because we're posting in dent groups for each other. I never forget
my goal. And that is my customer. You know what I mean? I think that's what helps sometimes people, that confuses people a bit because they get all these likes. And let's face it, 90% of those likes are other dent guys.
Right.
Yeah. Let's face it. Right. But then that kind of influences, hey, maybe I want to keep getting those likes. So I got to post these good photos. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've been there too. I've been there, done that too. But I realize at the end of the day, who am I posting this for? You know, now I want to educate the person because I find out if I educate more people, I feel like I get more customers. That's just the way it goes. And they like that, dude. And I think we forget what we're doing, what we're really doing it for.
Let me ask a question of you guys. Sorry, Shane. I want to ask this of multiple guys. I want your opinion too. When there's newer guys that are posting in dent groups and they post something that isn't good, but it's a good effort. A lot of people are like, hey, thumbs up, man. That's rad. Great job. You killed it. And I'm looking at it like, no, this is bad. It's very bad and it's not finished. And somebody's got to tell this dude. But I don't usually hop in there because I don't want to piss all over this guy's parade. He's all excited that, well-known people are telling him it's a good job, but it isn't a good job, especially if you can see it in a flipping photo. That means it's a train wreck in person. Right. What do you guys think? Should you be honest with these guys and tell them it's not good, dude? It's hammered.
I haven't been on any forums, to be honest with you. I've been out of touch on that. But if you're talking about one particular person on YouTube
no, we can talk about that guy because I know we're talking about the same guy, but that's not who I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen those.
He is Shane's number one fan.
So I don't know, Keith. I don't criticize people's work. Now, if you start being a jerk, then I think you all know where I'll go with that. But what I was going to say before you jumped in there, Keith, was one of the reasons I was posting videos several years ago was simply to get views on the YouTube, to jack up the views. I was getting, 3,000 or 4,000 views from dent guys, and I didn't really care what they said about the repair. It was just jacking the views up there, and that makes me more relevant,
Yeah.
And the hell video I did ended up getting 500,000 views or something like that, and it just started in the forums. It happened to hell right after that in my area. And it was just an informational video was all it was, a couple of before and afters and me telling about the shop here. But kind of got kickstarted with the dent groups, you know what I mean? Made me a little more relevant in that realm.
Right.
Yep. Mike, you never say anything negative to anyone when camera's on. But I know you have eyes just like mine and Shane's and Joe's. You see work that's not done. What do you think? You think you're doing some guy a service by pulling back, or you think they want real talk?
I try to, like I said, Keith, I don't, if I saw it and I'm going to call it like it is, I probably would. I would probably message him, honestly. I don't think I'd call him out on publicly, but I'd message him and say, hey man, you possibly may want to hold back from that, because that's also like what you were saying earlier. It's not just the dent techs are looking at it. Who cares what they think, really? Right. But it's your potential customer, right? That's what PDR is. So you're teaching the industry, you're educating at the same time. So that's what PDR looks like. So that's what I can expect what PDR as a standard looks like. Yeah. If I saw that consistently from a person, I'd probably message them.
Yeah, it's got to be constructive, I think, and I think there's a way to do it, DM, if it's on their, company, social media or something, it's pretty rude to do that in their comments. Say, hey man, the work sucks, or I don't know. I guess you can, and if it's your competitor, right?
You're opening up industry stuff, like when somebody's learning and they think, hey, I really think I did.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, I think I know exactly who you're talking about, dude.
I'm not, no, to be completely honest, I'm not talking about a person.
Yeah, but there is one person, oh, believe me, and he's in my backyard, dude. Like if you're talking about this one particular person.
I don't know, he's in my backyard.
No, not that one.
He's in my backyard.
we all got one, homie.
We've got one around here that posts some videos, and I'm like, and I could not destroy him because we've already talked about the level of repair to us versus to a customer is completely different. So I couldn't destroy him, but I'm like, that ain't done. That ain't that $50 size dent ain't done, homie. But just refrain. I'm not going to do it. It's not cool.
So that same Dr. Death that lives in all of our markets that has that position, because there's one in every single one, he's actually doing us a pretty good favor, because he's letting you know that you can make a full business full time out of almost no skill at all. Right. So if that dude's out there with continuous customers all day, when you're beating yourself up over the little tiny wiggle or a wave that's left and you can't get it out, it's not true, which leads me to my next question, which is the opposite of that scenario. I've heard guys complaining about guys like Bryce posting these tremendous repairs. I don't think he should stop, but other guys saying all of my customers now are expecting me to fix, car versus tree because they've seen Bryce do it and I can't do it, or they say I won't do it. Right. But you and I both know they just can't. Almost nobody can. There's 2 guys on the planet that can do that stuff. So I don't think he should stop, because he can do it, rock it out, show everybody. Right. That's amazing. But other guys are like, man, stop posting all these train wrecks, everybody, because that's all I'm getting now. I'm not getting anybody with the door dings. What do you guys, what's your take on that?
I think go ahead, Joe. You go ahead.
Well, I think we're in the age of transparency. I think that every one of us, and not just us four, but the viewers, anybody who's in PDR should be transparent about what they're doing. If they're doing a good service, even if the repair isn't a Bryce Kelly level repair, and whose is really, right? Or if it's not a perfect repair, that's the market you're after. That's who you should be showing your work. And yes, show it close up, show the texture if that's the kind of work you want to do, and the price too. Because like you said, Keith, that guy is doing us all a favor by showing crappy repairs or just not showing enough of the repair and talking about it the way all 4 of us have in our online marketing.
Listen, I've talked about this with Joe off camera and on camera. It pisses me off that literally that people will say, what do? You use a suction cup, or you use this and use that? Oh, I saw this on YouTube. And it pisses me off because we outnumber the people as far as like marketing. Why aren't we educating customers? Your video should be education every single time, not tutorial, education. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're using this window guard. This is how we open the window up. We don't have to take off your panel. We take the tool and we go right down here. Here, check this out. Speed up the video, show it, make it interesting, tell a story about it. But nobody's doing that. Hey, by the way, our prices start for this dent compared to a body shop. This is $150 to $275 compared to what it take 2 to 3 days at a body shop. There is no storyline to any of these videos. Yeah, it's just, hey, look at my dent before, after, boom, there you go. Call me. There's so much information left on the table, no educating. Like, and now you're leaving it to the consumer to think and guess how much did it cost? Did he suck it out? Did he use solar panels? Did he use heat? What the hell happened? Yeah. And I just don't see enough explanation. But we'll put a myth out there and shoot like, what is that? Air can of duster and stuff like that. but nobody's consistently showing educational videos of how it's done. And it's not that hard, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the freaking 2022 now. I mean, that's just my take, Keith. And
my side of that, first I'll answer Keith. I think you don't even have to ask me that question, Keith, as to what I think about it. Capitalism is boss.
Mhm.
If Bryce Kelly ends up being the only guy fixing dents on the planet 3 years from now and I'm starving to death, well, Bryce Kelly won. Period.
Mhm.
That's it. End of discussion. That's the way I believe.
Agreed.
As far as what you're talking about, Mike, something I say ad nauseum is these guys, I even say it to my text. Man, what the heck do these people think? They're bringing these, it's a collision. And by collision, the fender is crushed. The bumper is fine. The hood's fine. The door's fine. But it's crushed. And they're like, what do these people think? Well, they think exactly what our industry has told them, which is nothing. And all they can relate when they say, because all I hear is they said this is a small dent. They're effing crazy. You see it on the forums all the time. Well, so whose fault is that? Is that the customer's fault who only has body shops to compare it to, and the truck that got hit by a train and it got fixed by the body shop? This is a tiny dent. The rollover compared to just a crushed fender, this crushed fender is a tiny dent. It's all our fault 100% that the customer does not know what a small dent is. Period.
No, not at all. I mean, Matt Morrison, hot haze popcorn, dent repair. I mean, yeah, that was funny, but actually in a way, man, he really freaking did you guys see the post I did on Instagram? And I took and people still believe this is true. So I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, dude. And I'm sure you guys knew, but I took a mule cup, right? You know, it has the little dimples in it. You know what I'm talking about? Copper cup. Anyways, I took a copper. So it's one of those high polished mule cups with they look like golf ball dimples all over it. And so I put it on the vise, right? And I put a little clamp and my little tool holder in there, and I put a little tab on there. And then what I did is I took it off and I put the same one on there, but a high polished one that didn't have any of that on there, dude. And I'm like, man, I'm getting good these days, right? People believe that I actually fixed that dent to fix those things out of there, dude. Okay. But I'm just showing you, listen, guys, we have the power to influence one way or another. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, and if you complain about your, oh, I've got too much competition, or I don't have enough money, or like there's so many dent guys here. Let me ask you something. What have you been doing? What do you mean? What am I doing? What, are you posting on your Google local? Are you posting on your Instagram consistently? Are you doing videos on YouTube? Are you educating your customers? What are you doing? I do that. Oh, really? Let me look. The last time you posted was 2 months ago on here and then here. Right. So if you ain't consistent, you know what you do? You get consistent, inconsistent results. I'm just saying like that, just calling it out. Like that's part where I can't stand people doing the blame game and not really having themselves accountability on that. So, yeah,
I think you got to pay your dues though, you know, and all four of us have in precisely in trying to learn to communicate our message online. You guys were doing it long before I ever was. I mean, I remember, Keith, seeing your tripod photos. You had like a YouTube video of all this series of before and afters that you took with a tripod. And correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't think you took those with a smartphone. I think
no, it was a DSLR on a tripod. Coincidentally, that's the last piece of content I produced for my company.
Really? Well, it was good, and it was probably ahead of its time because I saw all the hate mail you got.
Oh, I got so much.
Thinking that it was Photoshop, man.
Yeah, because the frame didn't move. I thought it was so cool. It was a cool effect when the tripod in the car didn't move, so the dent just goes away. They're like, "Oh man, that's fake," or he painted it. I'm like, "Hey, that's cool, man. My repairs are so good. You think?"
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a hell of a compliment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty old video. I think it was like I got the factory like YouTube, royalty free music. Something on there. Oh, it's terrible.
Don't worry, man. I got some cringeworthy videos. Yeah, exactly.
So you weren't talking about mindset. That's a show topic. We've talked about this on our show quite a bit, but you got these other dent guys that are basically complaining about the customers because they don't know how to buy PDR. And I try to reach through the earbuds and just whack them right straight in the brain. Like, you try all day to get people to call you to be the guy who can fix the car, and it worked. They called you, right? And now you're mad at them because they don't understand exactly what you do. Like, you're the biggest fool on the freaking planet. Like, you wanted this call so bad. You wanted your phone to ring off the hook, and now it's working. But somehow you wish that they knew exactly how to buy your services. Well, like you said, Mike, if they don't know how to buy it, that's your fault, dude. You didn't help educate them along the way, but you've got them on the phone now. And even if you can't fix what they have today, you might be able to fix what they have tomorrow. So to get upset at someone who's on the phone and wants to give you money is the craziest thing I've ever thought of. I can't even comprehend it.
Can I tell them myself for a second here?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've shared this with you, Keith. I don't remember who it was, but I was in the shop and it was one of my guys. I think it was my brother. And I was having one of those days, and I don't have them often, 3-4 times a week, where the customer called, and it was a customer that was not very good with the English language. And I'm talking, they were American, 100%, whatever that means. And they spoke the English language just fine, but they couldn't get across what they wanted. And then what they were talking about. And I completely went back on it's all our fault. What a small dent is. They bring the car in and it's way more than what I thought. Fixable. Yes. Kind of like that hood. Didn't want to do it. Not near as bad as a hood, to be honest with you. But I was like, it just in my mind, I was frustrated that they told me it was a freaking dime-sized dent. Really told me it was a dime-sized dent. And it was like this big. And it was after I went through, hey, are you looking at it?
It's a big dime.
And they ended up scheduling. And I come back in the shop and I was like, man, some people are idiots. And I'm pretty sure it was my brother. He does this whole hand motion. He goes, yeah, I want to give you my money. Yeah, I want to give you my money. And then he's playing me, complaining about it. I was like, you know what? You're right. It's so immature and stupid of me. So it's basically what you were saying, Keith. So I use that all the time now with my guys. My brother doesn't complain about a thing. Keith knows him. Best dude on earth.
He's solid.
If I told him to move this building over 2 inches, he'd figure out a way to do it tomorrow. That's just the way he is.
He might throw a jacket over his head and try it.
For sure. But he never says anything. But my other guys will say something, and I'll throw it back at him. Oh, I want to give you my money, and here you are complaining about it. So yeah, Keith, you're there. I told him myself, I'm not anywhere close to perfect. Keith's seen that side of me in California. So
yeah, but and listen, I am. It's very easy, and it happens to everybody. It happens to me too. At least it did when I was on the field. You're working. If you're the guy who's working and answering phones, you get on the phone call, you close a deal, fantastic. You hang up, you get all set up, you get a tool in the door, and the phone rings again. You're like, okay, cool. Talk to this person. You go through the same thing. You book them, or something good happens. Okay, great. And then you put the tool in the door, and the phone rings again, and you're starting to get frustrated because, like, I got to get this car done, and these people keep calling. It's just really good to check yourself and remind yourself, like, hey, these people are all calling me, trying to give me money. The money that I'm spending at home is in their pocket right now, and they're calling to see what I can please do to come and get it from them. So just like settle down, take the phone call, be on that phone call, and don't be somewhere else trying to get off the phone. Book the job and then go back. And if it happens 17 times in a row and you have to book that job for another day, that's probably a pretty good thing.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Right.
Are you guys doing anything, Shane or Keith? Do you have any material on your site? Do you help your customer have that mindset before they contact you? Do they know generally where you guys' price structures are at on any of that? Because the reason why I'm asking is because Aaron, now he listens to your podcast. He's taken everybody's podcast, and I think he's got it down. He's probably got the best system where he has a video showing 3 different dense areas, and he turns the door around and he says, this is why my prices are different, because it looks the same on the outside, but on the inside it's completely different. And this is why I have different pricing. Right. and it's working like a charm for him. He says, "Hey mate, I know what it's like. I understand you have to look at my car and before you can give me the final price and blah, blah, blah." So he's educating them and getting their mindset prepared before he comes to their location. Is there any other way that you have, or is there a proper way? How do you get that customer to contact you, Keith? Are they familiar with you?
You know, I don't know if I could answer that question honestly, because it's your whole team has to be on board to track where your calls come from and where they heard about you. And, you know, we're not techie enough to know this person visited my website 4 times before they decide to pick up the phone. So I would just be guessing if I told you where they came from. Anecdotally, I can say a lot of them are still reading reviews and calling based on a Yelp or some other review aggregator. And our home site is like number 2 or 3 source for people coming. I don't have any educational stuff on that. Mike, I got to hand it to you, by the way. Like you update your websites. It's like the new version of the iOS. Like every time something changes, you push it out to the website, change. And I thought over the years, I've watched it and I think, man, that's a really great way to not fall in love with whatever you're doing. You're always pushing out something new. And it's like the site you're replacing was great. And you're just replacing it with something maybe that's not even better, just different, to try out new stuff and to keep pushing that. So I think you're really unique in that. A lot of us, myself included, we kind of fall in love with our website and if it's working, don't mess with it. And I don't want to try anything new, or it just takes too much effort to think about a new concept and put it in place and get it done the way you picture it. So consequently, the website just sits kind of stagnant and gets old pretty fast, and stuff gets old faster now than ever. Yeah. But you don't have that problem. It's fantastic, the work that you do for your retail site. Shane, I haven't been on yours in a while. I don't know if you have any educational stuff. You change yours more than I change mine.
Yeah. So my answer to this, Mike, is I have some grand ideas that I never freaking implement. So you're talking about the front and the back. You're talking about like for bracing and stuff, correct? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've had that idea. I've taken a couple of videos to explain that. Haven't edited the videos because 30 seconds would take me 4.5 days because I'm not Mike Toledo. And then I had the idea of even a video on the site and the panel here in the shop where I show Body Shop versus us. You sparked that idea when you said showing the inside, the difference. And showing what a stud weld would do to a body panel, showing the burnt backside and having that front and back hanging on the wall in the shop, doing video and having all this great, awesome stuff. Like, I guess I can't lie, I haven't been to your site to see this stuff and have all this educational stuff. And I just have failed to implement it. So the answer is no, I don't have it on there. I have some ideas, just haven't implemented them.
Do you guys mind if I show you guys his site real quick?
Not
take a look at it.
How about you, Joe? While he's pulling that up, do you stay on top of yours and update it all the time?
Well, Keith, to answer your question, early this year, I did precisely that. I felt like I wrote a novel, going page after page, trying to, of course, educate the consumers locally here. And I even did what's called city pages. Where you basically create a web page on your site that you guys might already know what this is. And for anybody who's listening, in case they don't, the city page is where you create a page just for each city that you service. The trick is you cannot copy and paste your copy onto each of these pages because Google will see that and they won't count you anymore. They're not going to show you. You're not going to show up. So you have to write unique content with keywords. And so, to answer your question, I felt like I wrote a novel pretty much. And it's time for another go around for that.
Yeah.
Mike given me some good information to add to my website. And as you can imagine, and I think it's time to update.
Let me know if can you guys hear this audio or not? Let me see.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Aaron Calcedon, and I'm the owner of Dentless, Paintless Dent Repair in Perth, Western Australia. In this short video, we're going to give you a very brief explanation of how we repair a general door ding with paint and stent repair. Here we have a door that has been totally stripped down just to the bare metal. And here we have 3 general door dings, and they are priced very uniquely and differently depending on what is behind the dent. On most occasions, we would wind your window down, slide a tool between the window and the dented door skin, and slowly and strategically push the metal back to its original shape. As you can see, dent number 1 is in a very open section of the door, which allows us far more tooling options to be able to push the metal back to its original shape. Dent number 2 is located behind your structural bracing. This gives us very limited access and therefore is priced slightly higher than dent number 1. Dent number 3 is located behind sound deadener. This is a very unique material which makes it very hard for us to be able to access the dent and push through the sound deadener. Again, priced differently to dent number 1. We would love to have you down at our Wayne.
So
He talks funny.
Yeah, main reason I haven't done that is my accent isn't half as cool as Aaron's.
He's got that going for him. Huh?
Yeah, you know what? You guys helped influence him that way. You and Paul Corden and you know, the rest of all the good gang there. But I was just, if all of us had something similar to that on every single one of our pages on our websites, I think honestly, you guys would be kicking those tire kickers, like, or at least helping those people who guessed at what it was, how that was you guys were gonna access the dents. You know, it just looks so much better.
Great, yeah.
This goes back to mindset also. Keith and myself both. Keith, I'm speaking for you. I'm fairly certain that I am correct on this. We're complacent. Period. Would you agree, Keith?
I mean, I just told you at the beginning of the show, I have problems pricing dents now because I haven't been doing it. So yeah.
So you're complacent in the business. I'm complacent in the business. Mike, how long have you been in this now? This industry?
30 years now, dude. 30
All right. How about you, Joe?
Shoot, since '97. So
all right. You guys have been in it as long or longer than I have, and you're not complacent. That's the bottom line. So mindset wise, complacency is evil, devil.
It's a killer.
It's a kid, and I am, dude. I'm complacent.
hey,
And I'll be dead honest. Let's be transparent here. My business has gone down over the last couple of years. I'm going to blame it on COVID. I'm going to blame it on the 3 C's: COVID, complacency, and I don't know. Y'all figure out the 3rd C. But it's you know, my business took a nosedive. Unbelievably bad with COVID when it started. Add that with complacency, it ain't a good combo, you know.
we all get that.
Yeah, but you guys, you're not letting it affect you.
It's Clemson.
Clemson. That's it, man. They suck this year. I'm going to blame it on them.
It's hard to get out of bed.
That was fantastic. Perfectly timed, man. Perfectly timed. So yeah, it's complacency. I warn against it because I'm dead in the middle of it and have been for quite some time now.
Yeah, could have had Matt on here, man. Shoot, Matt would have been perfect on here too as well. We'll get him back on here too, man.
12th podcast he's on this week. Give the poor
this
guy
week.
Yeah. How you doing there, Matt? Yeah, like I said, he's making his rounds, dude. He's making his Christmas rounds.
So what's that saying? Like the enemy of greatness is mediocrity.
Yes.
Right. So like complacency, you're just pretty good and you get happy with that. You got to if you want to get to the top, that you're never there. Right. You got to keep going because once you get there, the summit moves again because everyone else is moving too.
Yep.
We all go through this, you know. Mike and I talk about that all the time. You know, we go through phases and, well, I don't think you do, Mike. I certainly go.
I do, guys.
And you know, Keith, you said something the other day that smacked me on the side of the head. And what was it? You don't have a competition problem. You have a marketing problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true because we forget that, you know, or maybe a lot of us don't know. Cause I mean, shoot, let's face it, a lot of PDR technicians, a lot of us came from pretty humble beginnings. We come from shop class, you know, not necessarily, educated, college educated, whatever. We operate our PDR businesses like we are in a state of perfect competition, like a commodity, like we're oil or sugar or something,
Right.
And we price because we think that that's what the other guys are charging, so we got to charge the same. We have the luxury of differentiating. I think in the bigger scheme of things, I mean, yes, there's more and more dent guys every year, but in the bigger scheme of things, the consumer only sees who's putting stuff out there. And so we have the luxury of differentiating, and a big part of differentiating to get the highest paying consumers out there, in my opinion, is by educating, like you guys are saying, and just, saying exactly what you're doing and showing it for what it is.
I don't know how nobody can be excited about not promoting what they do. You love what you do. How will you not get out of bed and go, look, man, how can I show the world how excited I am about my job, what I do, my work? I don't get it.
I can't answer that because that's where I'm at. So,
but you do it though, Shane. Like you can put a GoPro up and friggin' hit the friggin' timer and hyperlapse it, man, time lapse it. You know what I mean?
I've just gotten complacent. That's it. Period.
Yeah. Well, at least you're owning it. You know what I mean?
I pretty much own everything in my life.
That's good. Do you think though that maybe you get spoiled with the big hail jobs, and then so like when a smash comes in or something really complex comes in, you don't feel like you need to do it?
Of course. We get a big hailstorm here and I cruise for the rest of the year. Period.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
Hail changes your mind, man. It's like if you lived in a place where the only desserts were Little Debbie snacks, and then all of a sudden you got a real home cooked chocolate chip cookie. You're like, I didn't know what was available before. Like I tell people all the time, like if I was all about my business, I would move yesterday to some place that hails. It's just stupid. You can't even compare retail PDR to hail PDR. It's not even the same. The only thing the same is you have tools and lights. Everything else is completely different. And the money is stupid. I mean, the process is different. It's just completely different. And there's big dollars that flow through a hailstorm. That being said, they have their own challenges. It's competitive and it's seasonal, and it's not, if you're going to chase it, it's another story. But the best retail companies are maybe competing with the very worst hail companies, in my opinion, like revenue wise and profit wise. It's just not the same. It's not the same product.
Yeah.
Not at all. So it is tough. I can't speak for Shane, but having done some hail cars, and especially when you're in the middle of hail cars and they're all over the place and someone comes in with a 4-inch crease, you're like, here's $50 just to leave so I can get back on this car. Like you don't want to do it.
I got my only 1-star review exactly that way.
And no Shane, way. So when Shane and I were doing hail together in Reading, he was so cross with me. That's a Southern term. It means mad, that I was doing like kicked in.
Ill is also another one that I figured none of y'all use that except us Southerners. I said something to somebody. I was like, man, he's ill. And they're like, what's wrong with him? I'm like, no, it means like mad. They're like, what? What the heck are you talking about? But anyway, go ahead.
But he was so justified. Let me preface with, he was completely justified, but I could not get out of my head that I wanted to help all these customers that come in. So we have hail cars that are priced right and stacked up, and I bring in some kicked in fender and I'm working on it. And Shane's like, if he had hair, he'd have pulled it out. He's like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, it's just like that other cheap hail car. It's about, 3 hours, $700. He's like, I don't understand you, and I never will. I'm gonna be over here 3 cars, and then I get halfway through it, and Shane has to finish it because I gotta go do something else.
I agree with Danny though. I'm all about, like, I like my retail. I've done. Hats off to you, Shane, man. And I that's just not the life for me, man. That's
the traveling. But Mike, if suddenly San Diego started getting hit with hailstorms.
Oh, I ain't gonna turn down money. I'm a Keith Constantino right there, dude. So,
And I promise it'd be tough to go back to doing 100, 200, 300,
it would, and I
cars.
probably would have Shane's mindset too as well. I'm not gonna freaking, what do they say, cut off your nose to save your face or whatever it is. I'm gonna concentrate on the big money and schedule that person out somewhere else, so if that's the way they want to wait. But
yeah, that 1-star review that I got's a pretty good story. I fixed a dent for him before. He had like a 15-year-old Caravan that was mint, and he loved this thing. I'd fixed a dent for him before. He was fantastic. Great customer. He comes back in, and it was right on the quarter panel on that edge on the Caravans. It's double paneled. Well, I guess I was like, you know what? I think that's in the double. It was literally a 10-minute dent right in the middle of 2017 hailstorm. I said, Mr. Johnson, whatever his name was, I don't think I can repair this in the double panel. And he was cool, walked away. One of my competitors fixed it, left me a 1-star review. Now, this guy only leaves reviews that are bad, so he never left the review for the first dent.
Is this a soggy pancakes guy?
Soggy pancakes guy. He said, another place, he said, when I put syrup on the pancakes, they got soggy. It's freaking dough in a liquid. What do you expect? And,
oh my gosh, soggy pancakes.
Soggy pancakes. Yeah. So
Shane has the best stories. You want to go there, just hang out, just to see these characters from the South.
Y'all don't understand.
It's another planet.
It is. It's a completely different planet.
Joe, you listened to the show for a long time. Are any of our Southern characters from Shane's stories in your mind that you could recall right away?
Absolutely. Which one? Before we exited, I was gonna ask you, Keith, to please, describe a snake in SoCar. If you can do that for us.
I can do that after you tell me which one of the characters you remember.
Oh man, was it another hail tech that worked for you, Shane? For you,
with
Shane?
the snake? With the snake?
Yeah,
no, that was a BMW plant employee.
Oh, BMW plant employee.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just a line worker.
That counts.
Yeah,
the one that always comes to my mind is the one.
I know which one you're gonna say.
Which one?
Tiger
is
Talk. Someone says Tiger Talk.
The shirt sleeve guy. Is that the one?
There's two.
All right, come on. I never heard that one. I don't think I heard that. All right,
Shane, tell us about this one.
Dude, I don't even remember. That's how messed up my people are. He came in with he had a cutoff sweatshirt, right? And he had the sleeve on his arm, on his one arm. It's cut away, but he's trying to stay warm with his arm out the window. And he had like a Taurus. I'm pretty sure it was a Taurus.
Yeah, and he wouldn't
got out of the car. It was, I wish we need to go back and listen to it because I need to know the story again. It was.
Next time you guys do your podcast, you need to get that sound bite again.
Get that clip. Yeah, he drove around to the back of Shane's shop and just hollered at him out of the window and said, "Hey, how much to fix this hood?" And he wouldn't even get out. And Shane was so upset with him.
He literally had one of his sleeves on his arm that he had cut off. It was, and it may have not been the same shirt sleeve. If I don't remember, to be honest with you. But
I'll tell you what.
It's really, really, really hard to be patient with those people but in the back of your mind, you're going, he might have somebody in his family that's rich and has brains, and I don't want a bad name. So
never know.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you guys again. Joe and I wanted to say appreciate you guys coming on. Keith, when I messaged you and I said I'd like you to come on and we haven't heard from you, man. We miss you guys, man. You and Shane, man. I hope you guys can consistently do a little bit more podcasts and not be so complacent.
Hey, this one is easy to
call
do.
us out.
You set it up, get it the link, and just send it to me, and I get on here. And then as soon as I hit end, someone else does the editing and the posting. This is fantastic. I will do this show all the time.
Mike said you're welcome. Nice. Mike said you're welcome anytime. We're just going to come on. This is the PDR College podcast. Our guests are Mike and Joe.
It's like the friend that always shows up to dinner but never pays. Like, hey, you mind if I post this on my show, Mike? You don't mind.
You've already paid. That's the thing. You guys have already paid, man. You're always welcome here,
I got I'll send you the recordings, man. I'll send you whatever you want.
Perfect. So we will double post it on the PDR College podcast. Right. We get somewhere. I mean, we have not broken 1 million views per episode yet. because we just
Not
haven't
yet.
gotten that
Not
high,
yet.
but we get a lot of views. I'll tell you that much.
Well,
we're one of the top podcasts.
I wouldn't surprise. I
in
wouldn't
the
be
entire
surprised.
realm.
I'm
No,
not.
I'm
not
using
surprised.
Keith's terminology. As long as you're not the last, you're one of the top. He told me that one of the best. I'm not dead last, so I'm one of the best.
That's how it works. Hey, it makes perfect sense. You take the best, you take a whole group of things and line them up, best to worst. As long as you're not the worst, you're one of the best.
That's right.
That's a
dude.
fact. That is a fact. One
Hand
of the best
grenade,
guys
horseshoes,
on
and
the planet.
PDR.
I'm just trying to think here. Hold on a second. We got to close this out, man. We got to close this out.
Well,
I'm trying to
wait,
think.
hold on, Mike.
Yeah.
Keith
Yeah.
has to do his rendition of the
Ah.
describing the snake. And
Yeah. So this guy, I got to set the stage. I'll be happy to tell the
I
story.
was
So
about to
this
say,
guy,
don't just come in with that. You got to set the stage.
now forgive me for the PDR college historians that are listening, because I might get a couple of little details wrong, but this guy's talking about either his kid or somebody in his house had a pet snake and they kept getting out and they kept piling stuff on top of the cage to block him in, card tables with piles of books. It wasn't anything good. So all the stuff you'd imagine that somebody from South Carolina would have laying around their house, old newspapers, stacks of VHS tapes, all kinds of stuff to put weight on the top of the cage. And he's like, man, and that thing got out. And he's like, now a snake. So these guys can take any fact and stretch it out for 7 minutes. A story that you could tell in 5 seconds, they'll tell in 50 minutes by taking every detail, just like I've done here. That's why Shane's laughing and expounding on it to the point that you're like, just finish the story, dude. So he's like, now a snake, he ain't got no arms. He ain't got no legs. He just has a body. I'm like, man, I know about snakes, dude. They're the same in California.
I know about. Trying to describe it to you like you never seen it before.
And you have to see this guy. He
Hey.
was probably 6'1", 6'2", maybe weighed about 120 pounds. And when he's telling this story, I've got to back up. He's leaned into Keith and myself with one arm forward. And snake. I mean, he's not just telling the story like you see a snake, it ain't got arms, it ain't got legs. No, he is into it.
Oh yeah, it's like he was trying to get on a theater production or something. But you know
Keith,
what?
I think I figured out why I don't like talking on the phone. Keith gets on to me all the time. I was like, I'm tired of talking to people. Okay, this is what I got to deal with all the time. Is 47-minute stories that could have been told in 13 seconds. So that's my experience.
Wow, no kidding. Jesus.
You betcha.
Oh man. All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up, dude. So hey, Keith, Shane, thanks, man. Appreciate you guys. We really do, man.
Thanks for having
All
us.
right. When you guys come on, me and
words.
Joe and I would love to come on too once in a while, man. So
We'd love to do it.
More than welcome. Let's set it up.
hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, you guys. Okay.
Same boys.
You guys.
Have a great Christmas. Talk to you guys soon.
You guys don't forget to follow them at PDR College. You can go check them out over here. All right, like I got you. I got you guys.
Hey,
Got
Joe.
There you go.
Hey, Joe. Until next time.
Get better.
Attaboy.
He stole my
All right,
line.
guys.
Sorry,
Hey guys,
Shane.
thanks for joining us, man.
Right.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Take care.